Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. We're now at day 781 in what the world used to call the war between Israel and Hamas, and now the vast majority of experts call genocide in Gaza. Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, 781 days from October 7th, 2023, and the horrors of the attacks on that day. I have updates for the last 24 hours or so, and the overwhelming sentiment is that while the world thinks a ceasefire is in play, the people of Gaza are still going to war against death and suffering. In Gaza, fundraisers have warned of a catastrophic drop in donations since the ceasefire was announced. The world thinks Palestinians don't need help anymore, aid organizers are saying, as winter is approaching. For example, some nonprofit organizations are observing a dramatic shift downwards in support. The Gaza Soup Kitchen raised more than $5.8 million in a GoFundMe campaign since February 2024. They served 10,000 meals a day to help the people in Gaza. From September to October 10th was when the ceasefire agreement was signed, they saw donations drop by 51%. Anti-Hamas armed groups are seeking a future role under the Gaza Peace Plan. BBC put out a big report about this. There's several armed groups that are falling into this category. It's complex. They overlap in terms of their allegiances. Many of them are supported by the state of Israel. Netanyahu has not denied it. He stated it overtly. Abu Shabab is a group, for example. They're accused of looting aid trucks sent into Gaza during the war. Reports have indicated that two of their members have previous links to the Islamic State group, ISIS or ISIL. Aside from helping to weaken Hamas, Israel's support for these armed groups can make it easier to divide Palestinian opposition to Israel. It would help them to maintain influence inside of Gaza once the Israeli forces withdraw. These groups cooperate with the occupation. They are the worst thing that the war has produced, so said a Gaza City resident. Joining them is not only dangerous, it is great betrayal. Israel's decision to back the enemies of an enemy. So Israel is arming these, they're considered thugs or mobsters or, these family clans. Israel's attempt to support them is critiqued as being a faulty strategy. So Michael Milstein, who's formerly the head of Palestinian affairs for Israel's military intelligence, so he's an Israeli, has said, backing the enemies of their enemy, this is a sign that Israel has not learned from history. This is the same thing that the U.S. did with Afghanistan 30 years ago. They supported the Taliban. They armed them, the U.S. did, against the Soviets. Then the Taliban took weapons that they got from the U.S. and used them against Americans. So this military intelligence individual said that Israel is now relying on groups with dubious pasts in the hope that they will provide a political, social, and ideological alternative to Hamas. There will be a moment when they will turn their rifles, the rifles they got from Israel, against the IDF. Israeli forces active in Gaza yesterday killed at least 3 Palestinians near the Yellow Line, which demarcates the areas of Gaza that are still under Israeli control. The Israeli military said it fired after identifying terrorists crossing the Yellow Line. The reason I'm saying terrorists like this is not because there's not militants trying to kill Israelis. There are, but in these areas, anyone who crosses the geographic boundary marker is considered a terrorist. Doesn't matter if they're a civilian, don't know where they are. And I've been reading reports about the yellow markers. They're these cement huge blocks that are yellow that actually are being moved. Palestinians said that one night they went to bed and they were outside of the Israeli controlled areas, staying in whatever's left of their homes. And when they woke up in the morning, they were inside of the Yellow Line and there were, bombs and military hostilities going on right outside their door. So this idea that any Palestinian that is inside of the Yellow Line is used as a justification to attack them. Just an hour ago from the time of this reporting, which is mid-afternoon on the East Coast on Tuesday, the IDF said that they had killed 5 Palestinians in Rafah. They said that they were armed terrorists identified earlier on Tuesday. They'd been hiding underground. Gazan hospitals in the last 24 hours have received 17 bodies of Palestinians. 14 of those were recovered from under the rubble. The IDF defended their policies on aid to the Gaza Strip amid the devastating rain. And this is part of what I'm talking about. While the world has said there is an end to war and a ceasefire existing, the war against death and suffering for the people of Gaza continues. This is the headline. Gaza is drowning in blood and rainwater. Heavy rain risks Palestinians with disease. This is the third consecutive winter. Rains have exacerbated the plight of displaced residents who've been living in tent cities. Floods have ravaged the refugee camps, destroying belongings, rendering medical facilities inoperable. The cold is killing the children, one resident said. Across the north and central areas of Gaza, flooding swept through refugee camps, washing away limited belongings. Families have gathered after repeated displacements. In Jabalia, a refugee camp north of Gaza City, journalist Imad Zakut described his tent as being inundated overnight. My tent was flooded. Everything I managed to gather after my repeated displacements went with it, he said. This is our third winter in a row like this, drowning in cold, water, abandonment, and extermination. Gaza is drowning in blood and rainwater, said a displaced resident on social media. The tents are flooded. The atmosphere is grim. Cold is killing the children. The relevant authorities must act immediately to save what remains of the city and to provide basic needs for afflicted people. He called for the entry of caravans, winter clothing, emergency supplies. May God help us and grant us patience to endure these harsh conditions, he added. In response, Israel's coordinator for the government activities in the territory, Kogat, said a coordinated, dedicated response to winter weather with international partners. He said an effort is ongoing. Additional winter-related requests by international organizations have been approved. Entry will take place in coming days. According to humanitarian workers, the combination of cold weather, flooding, and a lack of adequate shelter is expected to increase cases of hypothermia, respiratory illnesses, and waterborne diseases. Meanwhile, Turkey's spy chief met with Egyptian counterparts and Qatar's foreign minister to discuss the Gaza ceasefire deal, and the U.S. and Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, GHF, officially closes its doors. Its operations in Gaza after its work was suspended last month. We are winding down our operations as we have succeeded in the mission of showing that there's a better way to deliver aid to Gazans. May I just say that everyone who works on Gaza knew there was a better way than the GHF long before the GHF began. What a waste of time, resources, and money. Israel's Forensic Medicine Institute received the remains of a hostage. It's being currently identified. It's believed to be one of the 3 remaining bodies that were kidnapped on October 7th, Ran Givli Zoror, or the Thai citizen Rithtalak. Former legal and defense officials warned that the new death penalty bill in Israel that says anyone accused of being a terrorist would be punishable by death. It has been said that legal and defense officials in Israel are saying that will endanger Israel's national security and Israel's standing. Related to the occupied West Bank, the Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committees approved a bill that would make it easier for Jews to purchase land in the occupied West Bank, and settlers set fire to an agricultural building in the West Bank in the village of Mukhamas near Ramallah. Moving on to Lebanon, the UN Human Rights Office has said 127 civilians have been killed by IDF strikes in Lebanon since the ceasefire began about a year ago. And related to the United States, Vice President Vance has found himself in increasingly uncomfortable positions as allies are criticizing him for concerns about his relationship with Palantir Technologies. It's a data analytics company founded by billionaire Peter Thiel, who has become an unexpected source of friction among conservatives who once championed Vance's rise to national prominence. Palantir Technologies has had a strategic partnership with the Israeli Minister of Defense Ministry and provides the military in Israel with advanced data analytics, AI-driven targeting systems that are reportedly used on the war and attacks in Gaza. This involvement has drawn significant criticism and protests from human rights organizations and activists, alleging that the company's technology facilitates mass surveillance and is complicit in potential war crimes and the killing of Palestinian civilians. Also, Trump yesterday signed an executive order that begins the process of designating certain chapters of the Muslim Brotherhood as foreign terrorist organizations and especially designated global terrorists. This is particularly related to those in Jordan, Lebanon, and Egypt. That is quite significant in terms of repercussions for those organizations and anyone who might have contact with them. And closing with just an update, if you missed our vigil on Let Children Live, a campaign highlighting the 2 million Palestinian children that live in the occupied territories of East Jerusalem, the West Bank, and Gaza, watch that vigil. It happened on November 20th. We did it in partnership around World Children's Day with Amnesty International and Save the Children. You can watch that on CMEP's YouTube channel, and I would encourage you, or our social media, please share that, watch it, sign up for the Let Children Live campaign. Our goal is to have 10,000 Christians supporting the global movement to let children live in Palestine and wherever they may be. May God go before us towards peace in the name of Christ. Amen.